Hello student, how are you all? I hope you all will fine and well at your home. Now, welcoming world of Sanskar Public School. Welcome in e-learning session of class 8, that is the chapter number of 6, that is social, economic and cultural impact of the British rule. In this chapter we are going to learn about the impact of the British rule on the society, on economically and on our culture. So now let's start to know what the impact and what the problem we had faced during the British rule on different parts of the society and our life.
Let's start the next chapter of the 8th class, and in this that is the chapter of the socio-economic and the cultural impact of the British rule. Means when the British came to India, then what impact had done. Means that what problem we have to face in the society, in the economically and in the cultural activity. Means that what had impact on the culture, social and the economic. So let's start to know well. The first topic of the review of the artisan is the craftsman. Means that how the craftsmanship and how the artisan was ruined due to the British Empire. Because in the previous chapter already we had know about the tribal community. So we know well the British Empire want to preserve the forest to complete the supply, regular supply for the construction of the railway line, construction of the road, construction of the ships also. And they want to construct the ship to supply exporting or importing from India to England and England to India. So that's why when they had to control over the Indian forest, and then they started the regular supply from India to England and England to India. In this condition, they also set up so many industries in their England, and the industries were based on the mechanism. Means that the new machineries were invented in the England, and they started to purchase the raw material from the India at very cheap cost, and everything they were having. Means that they were having their own ship, they were having their own government which is continuously supported to them to set up the industries and to expand the industry on all over the world. And that's why they can purchase the raw material from the India, and after that they can prepare the good by using the machine. So that's why they took a very little and short time to prepare the so many goods, and easily they can supply in different parts of the world, and then they can earn the more money. So same as in the same process when they set up the Indian foreign market in the India also. So means our Indian craftsmanship are not having the raw material, because how much raw material was there, it was purchased by the British government at very cheap cost. वो बहुत सस्ते पे हमसे खरीद लिया करते थे, and the no raw material is left here. कोई raw material बचता ही नहीं था, and whatever raw material has left there which is not useful for them, जो उनके लिए useful नहीं था वो उसे यहाँ छोड़ देते, and that raw material has sold out at very high cost. So our craftsmen should have to purchase the raw material at very high cost, and then they had want a long time to prepare the good, because they were using the hand, they were the hand weavers, and now their good were not very finished. In comparison of the Indian weavers good, the foreign good were very finished, were very cheap, and they can complete the requirement of the market also. Why? Because the Britishers were using the machine first of all. Because they were having the machine, so that's why they can complete the requirement of the market, and easily they can prepare the more good according to the requirement of market, according to the need of the market. And their goods were finished because they were using the machineries, and machineries prepare the finished good in comparison of the hand. And then they purchase the raw material at cheap cost. That's why their goods was prepared in a cheap cost. बहुत सस्ते में ही उनका finished good तैयार हो जाता था. That's why their goods were very cheap. But in comparison of that, Indian weavers were purchase the raw material at very high cost. बहुत महंगा खरीदते थे और बहुत लंबा समय चाहिए था. They were doing the hard work to prepare the finished good. That's why according to their work, their good became the more costly, and that's why the Indian people were attracted to purchase the finished good of the foreign good. They were attracted to purchase the foreign things, and that's why the Indian market was fall down immediately, and it became the more advantageous of the British government, because British government also opened the source of earning by the introducing of the foreign market in the India, and the Indian market was fall down. Indian weavers, Indian artisans, Indian craftsmanship, and those who were doing the work by the hand, they all were became the unemployed. When they were became the unemployed, then the British government forced them to involve to the plantation. Plantation means to do the labor work in their factory. उन्हीं की फैक्ट्री में अब उन्हें लेबर वर्क करना था. When they were doing the labor work in their factory, then the British government were giving the low weightage to them. बहुत low weightage देते थे, and they took a long work. बहुत लंबा समय. There is no fixed working hour. Working hour fixed नहीं थे, but the lot of work without a proper weightage they were getting. Unhygienic conditions they were suffered, and the most of the people who were planted from India to England industries, and those who were planted from India to England, they never returned to India. And now the next topic is exploitation of the agriculture. Obviously, from where they purchase the raw material grown in the agriculture, and that's why from the starting we should know about that. In the India, the land compare as a motherland. Our land as a field is a mother, because as like the mother, these fields and the agriculture is also complete the requirement. They gave the food to us, that's why it cannot be sale. वो sale नहीं किया जा सकता. As like a mother cannot be sale. So same as they compare the land to the motherland, and that's why the land was not a saleable. But the British government first of all the Indian farmers to grow opium and indigo. Opium is called the afim, and the indigo is the dye, because this indigo is using to dye the cloth, and especially it is required in England and China, because the textile industry was the first industry which was emerged first. यानी कि जब industrialization शुरू हुआ, when the industrialization was started, so only the one industry was there, that was called the textile industry. And when the textile industries were there, then they required indigo in a great requirement. So that's why the India was a colony of the Britishers, means that the ruling ship of in the India of the Britishers. So Britishers were having the power to force the Indian farmer to grow opium and indigo. And that's why the British farmers were failed to grow the another crop. And such condition, the only few farmers were left, those who were growing the grains like the millets, like rice, like wheat. In such condition, the grains became the more costly, because it was having the very little amount. बहुत कम amount में होता था, तो it became the costly. When it became the costly, then the farmer cannot complete the requirement of the home peoples, यानी कि Indian citizens की food requirement भी complete नहीं होती थी. Second thing is this: those who were growing the opium and indigo, they were also failed, because they have to pay the lot of taxes also, and when they were growing continuously the opium and indigo on their land, so their land lost their fertility and the productivity. उनकी land में fertility खत्म हो गई, उनकी land में productivity खत्म हो गई. Now the land is unable to grow opium and indigo according to the requirement of the British government. That was the reason British government convinced to the Indian farmer that they have to sell out the land. Now the land is the useless. अब land useless है, अब उन्हें वो land sell out कर देनी चाहिए, because the British government knows well कि what type of the fertilizer and what type of the chemical they had to use, and again gain the fertility and the productivity in that land. वो इस चीज को बहुत अच्छे तरीके से जानते थे. But the Indian farmers were unaware about that condition कि this land can again get the fertility and the productivity also. But after this, the farmers, now the question arise in your mind कि how the land lost their fertility. Can you imagine कि when I will give you the banana to eat continuously, every day you have to eat the banana, so one day you will be the bored. Obviously you will be the bored, you don't want to eat the banana, आप banana खाना नहीं चाहोगे, आप मना करोगे simply. So same condition with the land also. When we are growing the opium and indigo continuously on the same land, यानी कि how much fertility the land was having for the opium and indigo, it was lost. वो खत्म हो गई एक दिन. यानी कि जितनी इच्छा हम लोगों के अंदर एक बनाना को खाने की होती है और जितने दिन तक हम खा सकते हैं, तो one day this will be ended. हमारी वो wish, हमारी वो will, हमारी वो जो willing होगी वो खत्म हो जाएगी. Same condition is also there. The land has also lost their fertility and the productivity. In that condition, the British government purchased a lot of Indian land, and now they were using the fertilizer and the chemicals also, and then they made the land again productive and the capable to growing the opium and indigo. And now they became the owner of the land and farmer became the landless. यानी कि that was the condition कि agriculture was also ruined. हमारी agriculture condition क्या हो गई, खत्म हो गई, because the Indian farmer became the landless, Indian farmer became the jobless. Now they were not having the work and they had to suffer a lot. अब उन्हें बहुत problem face करनी थी, because how they will survive their life. And because after selling out the land to the Britishers were paid a little amount to them. बहुत छोटा सा पैसा, बहुत कम पैसा उन्हें दिया था. British government didn't give the proper weightage of their land because they were having the excuse कि your land is unable to grow the opium or indigo, that's why we are purchasing. एटलीस्ट हम परचेज कर रहे हैं, अदरवाइज ये परचेज करने के भी लायक नहीं है. तो दैट वाज आल्सो द कंडीशन कि एग्रीकल्चर वाज आल्सो रूइंड, यानी एक्सप्लॉइट due to the Britishers and due to grown the opium and indigo. Already I told you, opium is the afim, indigo means the used to dye the cloth, and it had a great requirement in China and England, because China and England only the country in which the industrialization was started by using the new technology and the new invention machinery. And the next topic is that of development of the industry. In India, there was no development because the British government don't want to develop the India. British government only set up their empire in India to plunder the wealth, to drain the wealth from the India and to went to England. यानी वो सिर्फ यहाँ के wealth को drain out करना चाहते थे. That was the दादा भाई नेहरू had also written a book, Drain Out to the England. यानी drain the wealth to the England, कि how the Indian wealth drained out here and went to England. England तक कैसे चला गया, किन किन तरीकों से उन्होंने हमारे Indian wealth को drain out किया. So means that the no one industries was there, no one factories was there, and those who became the unemployed, यानी कि whose farmers, how many farmers were there, how many weavers were there, they all were planted into the British industries, and over these weaver means that everyone became the weaver. Now they were prepare the things by the hand, and now the British government also appointed the one officer over there. अब suppose that there is a group of the weavers, जो weavers का मतलब होता है those who prepare the cloth by the hand, जो हाथ से बनाते हैं. Over them they set up their own village. उन्होंने एक ग्रुप बना लिया और ग्रुप का एक विलेज बना लिया. Over them the British Empire appoint the one officer over them, and that officer is called the Gomathas. Officers was called the Gomathas. Gomathas was responsible to give a order to them, यानी कि to supply the order to the weavers and give a time to them कि in this much time you have to complete the work, and later Gomathas was also responsible to collect the goods from the weaver and hand over to the British government. And if suppose that no one, anyone Indians were unable to complete the deal or the goods according to the requirement of the British government, then they had to punished by the Gomathas. Gomathas also having a right to impose the taxes over them. Gomathas को right होता था कि वो taxes भी impose कर सकते थे. So now that was the reason कि how the industries had suffered, means that the British industries had suffered more and the Indian had survived more due to the British government, because especially in this chapter we have to know how the British government became a cause of the problem and the exploitation of the Indian goods, Indian agriculture, Indian craftsmanship, and totally ruined of the India, and how the British government drained out the wealth of the India to England. Now let's start to know by the animation also.